Live from New York. It's a show that doesn't understand Kirk Cousins' contract at all.
Oh, well.
5 years.
No, it's not, though.
They're like, no, it's 1.
It's, you know
and
what?
And the Raiders paying half. I'm like, where the 5 come from?
This is where the sports media ombudsman comes in about an hour.
Is that where you
I love it.
I get it. Yeah.
Because
yeah,
and by the
it's depending on who you want to.
A 5 year, but a 5 year contract.
But we'll get to that later.
Wow, the sports media ombudsman.
5 years, $20 million guaranteed. How about that?
There you go.
But they're only paying 11.
That's what it is.
The Falcons are paying.
I can explain that to you as well later.
Easy.
It's to screw the Falcons because of the offset language stuff. I guarantee you, Tua's agent and Kyler's agent, little annoyed that they didn't see this little wrinkle available to them before they agreed to play for the minimum.
I like that. Yeah. Stay tuned for the sports. I hope you go hard at this.
No, I will.
Not just an explainer, you know?
We'll see.
Today, Viva Las Vegas. Mendoza's pro day and Kirk Cousins signs. Could the Raiders be playoff bound? The stat that
Nick
says
thinks so.
maybe.
No, Nick doesn't.
No, they got better.
They were his big pick last
and I was wrong.
And they got better.
Last year.
Right, they have
got
better.
They got way better.
But it turns out they were not as close as I thought.
Beat the team that went to the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, Lakers Thunder tonight. Is one of these teams facing the elusive in the debut of an NBA must-win? Have we done must-win yet?
For NBA, we tend not to.
Wow. 82 games.
Maybe there's a reason. And finally,
the Knicks had one last night.
A must-win?
Yeah, and they did.
Well, I don't think it's a must-win against.
They called it a must-win themselves. Josh Hart said it is.
Josh Hart said, "Oh, you have to."
He said a Wednesday night game against Memphis was a must-win.
Wow.
Yes. That's
It's the most motivational segment in all of sports, the Bud List, and we're debuting a new character
on the Bud List.
Maybe.
KW.
He's got rid of Cowboy Bruce. He's trying to get rid of Jackson Blade.
Jackson Blade has become bigger than the show. The issue is the guy took over.
In a theater near you.
We're starting in Golden State. Wemby's been pouring in the points recently. Had 25 and 10 at half. Had back-to-back games with 41. When he made his MVP case, remember, he said offense is more than just scoring. And everybody's like, well. He's like, yeah, what about roll gravity? Nick kept on making fun of him. He said, fine, I'll start scoring more.
Exactly. That's correct.
So here's Wemby with Scott Van Pelt on the importance of the MVP.
I do care deeply about it. And I think that all the greats, that are in the Hall of Fame or that are, in our mind, the best of all time, they have fought and grabbed everything they could grab early on in their career, And if I want to make my spot among the greats, I got to try to not miss any occasion I have to put my name up there.
Okay, Brew, is more scoring the key to Wemby winning the MVP?
First of all, I'm smitten. You gotta love that man. Even Nick Wright has got to love that mentality. I mean, now Wilt Chamberlain obviously was incredibly dominant.
Yeah.
But those that played during that time and historians of that time would say he lacked that killer instinct, right? He won 2 championships, which was nice, but, he wasn't out to just destroy. Steve Kerr once told me, this is during Shaq's prime. He told me if Shaq had the killer instinct, he'd probably have 8 titles by now, all right? There's this thing we've all known called kind of the gentle giant. Physically that you kind of let up a little bit just your whole life. This dude don't have that.
Like he's not that
big. he's obviously tall, right? Yeah. But no, whatever it is, to me he has the mentality of a Kobe Bryant, a Michael Jordan. Like he wants it all, and I love it. All right, so I had to say that first. But to me, the scoring thing, no. Like 24 points a game is absolutely enough to win MVPs. I said Friday, 22 times guys averaging fewer than 24 points a game had won MVPs. Magic Johnson won 3, never averaged 24 points for a season in his career. Steph's first MVP was 23 points a game. And this is a guy that does all he does, rebounded, defense, block shots, so on and so forth. So no, that he's scoring enough. This will help, obviously, but I think the key to him winning the MVP is the number 1 seed. He's gaining to me, and obviously Shea is still playing great. I've had Shea number 1. But if Wemby and the Spurs get the number 1 seed, I do think he'll win it, Nick.
Yeah.
He might win it anyway, but I think Shea is clearly the favorite.
Yeah.
If they get the number 1 seed, though, I think a lot of people will go on Wemby's side, and I think he'll win it. So to me, that's the key.
So I agree with a lot of what you said, and I take issue with some of how Wemby is covered far more than I take issue with Wemby. I think I have been directly critical of Wemby 2 times in his career. One was the skills competition thing that I hated, that he and Chris Paul did a couple of years ago. Probably. And the other was a few weeks into this season when he was like, basically, we play the right ethical brand of basketball and no one else does.
Well, he was early on that. And now everyone's come around.
And so, aside from that, I just have, been more, I have said, man, this guy's going to be one day the best player in the world, and I bet he wins, multiple championships. And that has put me in like the 3rd or 4th percentile of Wemby praise, because it's somewhere from the league's screwed, he's going to win a combined 20 Defensive Player of the Year's MVPs and titles, the GOAT, like all this stuff. And so you don't have to be super critical of him to be one of the bigger critics of him. But the media coverage of him has irritated me, because this is the timeline of the last week. Because now we like scoring. Because Wemby, as of 4 days ago, had one 40-point game since opening night. And then prong 3 of his 3-prong MVP platform was scoring's overrated. And all of a sudden, it is roll gravity. And Luka 40 points for a month. Who cares? And then Wemby in back-to-back nights puts up 40 against a hapless Bulls team.
Hey, is what it is.
And against a Warriors team that's starting a guy who's got to play one-handed because they're out of players. And in those 2 games, by the way, Wemby and the Spurs are not this dominant defensive team they've been all year. He's leaning more into the offense, as is the rest of the team. And everyone's like, you know what's cool? Scoring a bunch of points. I've been there. I agree. I think scoring a bunch of points is awesome.
Who's saying all that, though? When was the switch?
The switch is in line, and I'm not, Brew, I promise, I'm not
clearly
talking
haven't
about you.
switched.
You haven't. The switch is in line with whatever Wemby says or does the last, call it 10 days, is what an MVP would say or do. The way he plays, what his statistical profile, he's
going for the MVP.
And so here is what I would say to Wemby as far as if he really wants the MVP. He should have been far more vocal and forceful about playing more. Because there are 2 things that to me are kill shots at the moment to Wemby's MVP case. One of them is he has not played enough. The minutes he has played this season is so far out of line with so the average MVP plays 3,013 minutes. Wemby is on pace for less than 2,000. We have one MVP to play less than 2,200 minutes.
He's on pace.
When
winning MVP.
Yeah. Right now he's played 1784.
Oh, okay, sorry. Right.
He's played 1784. The one MVP who played less than 2,200, Bill Walton, he got
in 58 games.
It was right. He got hurt in the 60th game of the year as the defending champ, best player in the league on the best team. Missed the final 22 games. They gave it to him anyway. So that.
But why do you care about that?
Because I don't believe the MVP is a hypothetical award. I believe it is what you have actually accomplished this season.
But they're the 2 seed in their.
They're gonna win 60
and he's
games,
7-5.
And I'm
you want to
so-
play a few extra minutes.
No. I don't think you can have everything in life. And I think that the sacrifice of him not playing a lot of minutes when his competition, and this is, I'm glad you said, what do you want him to do? They're the 2 seed. They're going to win 60 games. When Shea, who is the guy who I think is MVP, I've argued Luka should be considered more strongly.
Mm-hmm.
Shea is having arguably the single most efficient guard season ever. I can show you that quickly. And then also every other, so this is guys who have scored 30 on 55% from the field in a season. It's a big, or a wing, a big, a wing, and Kareem and Shea. And here, KW, is the list of guys who have scored 30 a game and had their team win more than 60 games. It is every single time that has happened, they've been the league MVP. So
let me ask, if the Spurs are the 1 seed, you still wouldn't vote for Wemby because of the minutes?
I would need to. I would be. Let me without answering it, because I don't know who I would vote for if that happens. The only way I would consider voting for Wemby over Shea is if they're the 1 seed, because I just think Shea has been that good wire to wire. And I thought the other piece of Wemby's case of we dominated them, that is a great argument as to why OKC should be worried about the Spurs in the playoffs. But in those games, Brew, and you know this, 3 of them Wemby didn't even start. Like he wasn't dominant individually in those games. It was the team won. So I don't think a guy who's played 2/3 of what the average MVP plays, who has played the equivalent of, what's 400 minutes at 30? The equivalent of 14 games less than Shea, whose team right now has a worse record, who is, we're shocked when he scores 40 and we're not with Shea, is the MVP of the league. I don't. And I don't think that's unfair to him.
Okay.
What, KW?
The minutes thing doesn't resonate with me one iota.
But games played does.
Games played, of course. And maybe I give him a lot of grace that I am still more concerned about his long-term health and protecting Wemby in the NBA for a long time. So if he has to play under 30, so be it. Now, SGA and Wemby both take themselves, aren't needed necessarily in the fourth quarter.
Right.
SGA is, unless he's stat padding, where Luka is needed in the fourth quarter.
Some of this, too, though, is the Spurs culture. Remember, for the last 12 years, or maybe more than that, I guess, Tim Duncan, second half of his career, was playing 32 minutes a night. Tony Parker, they generally don't play their guys 35 minutes a night.
I agree. And I think that could be smart. But where I'm legitimately curious if you agree with me on this, Brew. I think that the Spurs plan with Wemby can be the smart plan, the right plan, and like you were saying, because you're worried about his long-term health. But one of the taxes on that is it will make it harder for him to win individual awards.
Not for me.
Okay.
Because what he's doing in those 29 minutes is phenomenal.
It's just
he leads the league in net rating, again, playing so little. 17 by a nice margin, by 3 points. So it's not like he's playing 12 minutes a night.
No, but
he's playing 29.
Can I ask you one quick question before you zoom out on the Spurs? I made a narrative argument, which is not based in statistics. It's not based in win shares. It's got a little bit of points. But do you think, fast forward 10 years, and you're talking about, and take the playoffs out of it, but right now, do you think the story of the NBA this year has been SGA or Wemby?
I think that here's the problem with your take the playoffs out of it. There is no story of any individual season. You tell me the story of the 1997 NBA season. Take the playoffs out of it. Tell me the story of
the regular season.
I'm just
the
trying to say
MVP,
the MVP
award always has the
so it's
playoffs.
tricky.
Correct. Right, but you're trying to make it about the arrival of a superstar.
Yeah, that's what it feels
right,
like.
And you don't think that's what this season
No,
is
I
about?
do, but I don't think that's what the MVP award's ever been, about
the
the
narrative.
story of the season. I don't look at it that way at all. I do think this season will be remembered for how it ends. I don't think there's not a 73-win Warriors thing where that season is, you remember how it ended, but you also remember the regular season. I think this season, it is either going to be Jason Tatum's return is the story of the season because they win the title.
Yep.
This guy has taken over the league because they win the title. The Thunder became the first back-to-back champs we've had in a decade because they win the title. Or Joker goes crazy, Luka goes crazy.
Yeah, anybody who
right, and so that's the story.
But right now,
the narrative of the
seems like
regular
Wemby.
season is Wemby.
I
think that's obvious.
And I guess that's the point I'm kind of making. I think Shea has been overlooked in that, and I'm not a Thunder fan.
No, but I believe in like Heisman moments is my big thing. I feel like Shea's star has dimmed.
Didn't he just 2 weeks ago? Didn't he hit a game winner over Joker? And then 3 days ago, didn't he hit a game winner?
Yeah, then he got called for an offensive.
And then he won it in overtime with 47 points.
The problem for Shea is he's this generation's. This is a little bit of an overstatement, but Tim Duncan. He's just not as exciting. His game's a little more exciting than Duncan's, but it's not just a captivating style of play. High flying or anything like that.
It's the
part
manipulation of the refs.
I don't like that either.
After the Thunder win, the opposing coaches say, he does a great job with the refs. And after Wemby wins, the opposing team's like, what are you going to do? This guy's amazing. He's going to be the face of the NBA.
Yeah,
I feel like there's two very different narratives.
I think you would agree the story of the regular season is
the
Wemby.
story.
I would even put Luka maybe ahead of Shea as far as
I absolutely agree that if you were writing like a New York Times recap of the regular season at the end of it, that Wemby is the lead graph. That to me though has almost nothing to do with how I would vote for MVP. And I think that there are certain.
But I
agree. I don't think that's the primary.
But I think about that more than I do. Like, let me see his minutes played.
But you don't, and I don't want to belabor it. You don't think that, and I'll ignore the patronizing voice. You don't think that whenever we're saying, hey, we've given out 70 of these awards, and this guy would be far and away the least time on the court, that should factor at all? Like, it'd be one thing if I just said he was, it's below average. But anytime we're talking about least or most, like if somebody with the Shea thing was like, hey, guys, he's going to shoot more free throws by a lot than anyone ever. Does that factor into how you think he's that would resonate with me? Minutes aren't akin to, But games are, which is weird to me.
I just think that Nick, like he's been so productive in those minutes.
Which is why I think
24 and 11
again,
and 3 blocks.
I'd right now have him third in MVP voting. It's not like I think he's not having a great season. I don't think it's enough to overcome Shea, and I think Luka's been better.
All right, we'll zoom out and talk about the Spurs as a squad. They've won 10 in a row, 15 in a row if you take out the game Wemby missed. He's thinking championships. We're going back to Wemby and friend of the show, Scott Van Pelt. Is he friend of the show?
Yeah, we don't have experience, right? Screw it. I mean, that's all we got. We're not going to play any different way just because it is this way. I mean, we're still going to play 100% and go to try to win this championship.
Sure.
Screw it.
All right, Spurs more likely to have early exit or win the championship?
I say win the championship. Like, they're legitimate contenders. I don't know if I'm going to pick them yet or not. It's either them probably or OKC or maybe Boston. But I will not be surprised if they win the championship.
Me neither.
And conventional wisdom obviously is about the inexperience. But here's the thing. Conventional wisdom would have told us there will never be a 7'5" or 7'6" player doing what he's doing. Playing with the guard skills, the ball handling, the moves, the three-point shot, guarding out on the perimeter. Like, you almost have to throw conventional wisdom out of the window when you're talking about him. So we've never seen a team really do this. I mean, we talked about the Portland Trail Blazers in '77, but outside of that, nobody's come close to doing this. But this is something we've never seen before. And the team is good, too, around him. Stephon Castle, I think, is a future superstar. De'Aaron Fox is obviously a star. He's got a lot of talent. They got some experience. But I look, if the Lakers were to upset them, let me put it this way. I don't think it's going to be an easy road, though. Even the first round, Phoenix or the Clippers. The Clippers have Kawhi Leonard. Phoenix will have, presumably, Dylan Brooks back by then. You got Devin Booker. Jordan Knott's a very good coach. That's not going to be easy. Then the Lakers is just intriguing to me for the sheer fact of the experience. So that, I will pick the Spurs in those series, but those are interesting.
So that's,
yeah,
and then,
but
by
I
the
think
way,
they're more likely to win the championship than to lose to one of the series.
This is where, to me, this is a true, probability math equation for me. Because I think their odds are, I checked the latest title pie that we did. I had the Spurs at 15%. 6-1, the implied odds of that are about 15%. It's about, a 1 in 6 chance to win the title. So I think those odds are about right. So my question is, do I think they have a greater chance to lose in round 1 or round 2 than 15%? My answer to that is yes. Because I think they have about a 10% chance to lose in round 1 if they get the Clippers. They've played the Clippers twice this year, both in March. And both were close. Both the Spurs had their full complement, and once the Clippers didn't have Garland, and once the Clippers didn't have Kawhi, and both were 4-point wins. Right. So I give the Clippers a 1 in 10 chance of beating them. Okay. And then if they get past them, let's say I give the Lakers a 1 in 3 chance of beating them, 33%. There is a far greater likelihood of a 1 in 10 coming in or a 1 in 3 coming in than 15%. So you understand what I'm saying there? And so it is really the math on it's 90% of 67%. Go ahead.
They play the Clippers tonight. If they crush the Clippers tonight, would this change your
oddly,
idea?
If they crush the Clippers tonight, their odds of playing the Suns go up a bit. You know what I mean? That, and that's a weird thing that also.
If they crush the Clippers, which they probably want to go out and do just to send a message.
Every win matters for them because they're trying to get the 1 seed.
Yeah, so
and even just because they've been 2 4-point games.
2 4-point games, and one of them, the Spurs needed a huge fourth quarter comeback. They were down double digits going into the fourth. So I think the most likely Spurs outcome, to be clear, if I had to bet on how's the Spurs season end, the most likely outcome is a conference finals loss. Yeah. That's what I think is the most likely outcome.
That makes sense.
But I think that I personally would be more surprised by them winning the title, even though I think they definitely can, than by them losing before the conference finals.
More surprised by them winning.
Yeah. I mean, because the other thing that we haven't, whenever we talk about experience, we're only talking about the players. But in a Clippers-Spurs round 1, Ty Lue's coaching experience versus Mitch Johnson is noteworthy to me. Right. And do they get worn down a bit even if they get past it?
And same for Redick.
Right, Redick.
I mean, he doesn't have a ton,
but he has some. And so, that's the. But
if they get to the conference finals against OKC, that means they will have gone through LeBron and Luka, most likely, and a tough first round, at least an experienced first round opponent. I might pick them over Thunder if they get there, because then they're somewhat playoff hardened, and they obviously match up well with them.
Let me ask you this: do you think you'd pick them over the Nuggets if the Nuggets have beaten the Thunder, and the Nuggets are that?
Probably, but
so it's a weird setup there of the Jokic versus Wemby, which I think would be some smart people called that once Godzilla versus Mothra, I think. That you remember.
We are about 2 weeks away from ordering a Spurs robe.
Oh.
You're like, SGA, when I crunch the numbers, he's still the MVP, and I still have the Thunder.
I think it might be, honestly, we might need to have a meeting after the season. I think it might be best for the show for Brew to pull a Zach Lowe and give his vote back. And to be totally, so you don't have to see, you don't.
NBA, no.
I was saying that as a compliment because I think the fact that you have a vote makes, you don't allow any bit of like, show emotion to come into because but if you didn't,
but I mean, look, exactly right.
You know what I mean?
For a while, like having your gravitas has helped the show, but now it's really hurting us.
I felt this way about LeBron early in his career, and I voted objectively.
But you didn't have a crown on. It was on a throne. Yeah. All right, we're gonna do the Celtics later on in the show. Coming up next is Kirk Cousins starting for the Raiders Week 1, and wow, wait till you see the pro day throws from Mendoza. Nailed them.
Any defense?
No. Hey, check out the podcast if you get a chance. And we have brand new original content featuring me and the Yankees.
What is that?
That was when he's saying that was
what
the best
is
jersey.
that?
That's not a bad look, Wilds.
Well, that's Wilds'
Exactly.
bit. Wilds is like,
thank you.
He's like, you could wear it to a nice restaurant. It's just press
could.
play. It's like me on the Union stuff. It's just like, at least mine's profound. It's not profound, it's just a biography.
News out of Las Vegas. Kirk Cousins is a Raider. He signs
1 year, $20 million. More on that later.
He's getting $11 million from Las Vegas, 9 from Atlanta. Meanwhile, head to Indiana. The Raiders' soon-to-be QB had his pro day. Eric Edholm reporting that there were at least 10 members of the Raiders franchise in attendance. And get this, top prospect Fernando Mendoza shows off his trademark accuracy at Indiana pro day. 53 of 56 throws, bro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
Nobody
Who was guarding the guy?
Nobody.
Oh. No pressure?
Nothing.
Can I defend that for a second?
Nothing.
Here's what, maybe you guys will agree with me, then we get to the topic. Great pro days are often totally meaningless, but bad pro days matter. You understand?
Who had a bad pro?
If you,
when was the last
I don't even have one off the top of my head, but my point is like, 53, you can say 53 of 56, who cares? But 46 of 56 against air would be concerning. That's the point I'm making.
But guys at this level shouldn't have bad pro days. Now, Teddy Bridgewater, right? No gloves or whatever it was.
Someone had a bad pro day. Remember, it may have been Mac Jones.
Probably.
It was Bill Belichick like this. Remember that clip?
Well, Zach Wilson, of course, had a
amazing.
Well, but it was really just the one throw. But go ahead, sorry.
How should the Raiders use Kirk Cousins?
I mean, I think he should be their Week 1 starter, and I think he probably will be. And I think it's perfect. Like, I think that this is a perfect spot for Kirk and a perfect mentor for Fernando. They strike me as similar.
Yes.
As far,
yes.
Incredibly, their personality.
They were both Christian.
That's what I was going to say. Both, not only Christian, but very outward men of faith and very positive disposition. Seem to be, I know Kirk obviously has wife and kids, Fernando's young, but very family men in different ways. So I think that part's really good. I also think that there are some, not the athleticism, but some trait similarities. And I also think that not starting Week 1 for Mendoza is great. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm the Raiders, Fernando needs to be so much better than I could have possibly imagined in training camp for him to be my Week 1 starter, rather than to slow build it. You don't have to do exactly what the Chiefs did with Mahomes, where he played Week 8, Week 17 back then, because that team was a playoff team, and but I wouldn't need to see Fernando until Halloween. I'd be fine with that.
I agree with you on just about everything you said, but look, if he doesn't play this season,
I'm fine.
Right. Mahomes basically sat out the whole first season. Jordan Love sat 2. And obviously it's back, but Aaron Rodgers sat to 3. Now we've seen rookie quarterbacks come in and play well. Obviously, C.J. Stroud and others, Jaden Daniels. But I like the idea of a quarterback being able to sit and learn at the feet of a mature professional QB. Look, they're not going to be, I don't think, a great team. They're in a great division, so they may take their lumps. And you send a rookie out there against the Chiefs and the Chargers and the Broncos, not to mention the rest of the schedule, and he could end up looking bad. So let him learn under Kirk Cousins. I think this is great. And Clint Kubiak has said, he's on the record saying, I would like a quarterback to sit early instead of throwing him in there as a rookie. So I think that's the plan. Kubiak obviously was with the OC with Cousins in Minnesota, and Cousins had some great years under Kubiak. So this is clearly a plan, and I agree with Nick that I think Cousins is going to start. And if he plays well, then he'll probably play the whole season.
Oh, I don't love that. If he's playing the whole season?
I mean, Alex Smith played the whole season. How'd that work out for Patrick Mahomes?
I mean, Patrick Mahomes is almost an outlier, but I don't remember the last number one pick to sit
Patrick
the entire
wasn't the number
season.
one.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. No, number one picks haven't done it in a very long time.
Everybody plays. Can I show you just this graphic? Last year, I flirted with Cam Ward making it to the playoffs just because we've had guys do it. And every one of these guys has a little bit of a different story. But you could have made the same argument for Bo Nix. Bo Nix was in the AFC West. Bo Nix made the playoffs.
Had they had a Kirk Cousins, he may have sat.
Yeah, but Bo Nix is doing great. Jaden was great out of the gate. CJ Stroud, new coach, defense was good. He popped. Purdy popped. Mac Jones was kind of, a lot of it was Belichick defense, but Josh McDaniels, he worked. Lamar worked, obviously.
He came in the second half.
Well, again, Raiders are different than the Ravens, but it feels like when we have, is any rookie quarterback going to make the playoffs next year? We're going to say no. But if you look back in the last 5 years, a bunch of guys have.
Well, hold on, can we throw that, is it possible to throw that back up? Because I just, but that also means since Lamar, so last year nobody did it.
Last year no one.
In 2019 nobody. So 3 of the last 9 years no one's done it, and 6 of the years there's been one. There's none of those years has there been multiple. So I don't.
21, 22, 23, 24. I wouldn't have put Lamar on the graphic. It recontextualizes it just recently.
I shouldn't say none. There's been multiple. Nix and Jaden were multiple in the same year. Stroud would be the comp in this regard. That was a team no one thought had a shot. Mm-hmm. They thought when they traded their future first for Will Anderson, and myself, others were like, man, that might be the number one pick the following year, and he was excellent. I think that it is. I think if he doesn't play all year, I would be surprised. But I think that the flip side to this graphic is how many quarterbacks that are on shaky ground would Bryce Young have benefited if we didn't see him his rookie year?
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? And I don't know where Cam Ward stands with Titans fans right now. I assume fine, but does Cam Ward, if he struggles the first 5 weeks next year, or people are already worried about him, as opposed to if he had sat?
Yeah.
And so there is a flip side of that, of the quarterbacks who just didn't work, or I'm not saying that about Cam, but who don't pop. Would they have been better off sitting and watching and learning? I don't know. I mean, it's an unknowable question.
I'm not saying I am against playing him this year at all, but I'm just saying if things are going well with Cousins, maybe if they're winning more games than expected, I wouldn't have a problem with him sitting.
Carson Palmer, according to Hub's, last number one pick to sit.
Oh, yeah.
Behind John Kitna. Jerry Jones says he has a long-term plan
time ago, man.
for George Pickens. Pickens is slated to play under the franchise tag, but that might be a precursor to a longer contract. Here's Jerry talking about how he's handling negotiations. Take a listen.
There's no issue with me with talking to agents. I need to do a better job of not getting. Well, Daddy said I could have it, and him going to Mama and Mama saying, Daddy said I could have it. We've got to get on the same page. When I also do visit with players, always have. Sometimes make the deal with the player, always have. It always works out. If he worked without an agent, he'd save a lot of money.
Well, and we cut off the part where he said, with me.
Yeah, save a lot of money.
Which is critical. I mean, because obviously he saved money if he wasn't paying an agent.
Yeah.
He'd get that 3%, whatever it is he's giving his agent. But Jerry, to me, what you add on the second part, the part we cut off, is talking out of both sides of his mouth. Because he's saying, I have no problem talking with agents. But then he ends it with, he saved money with me if he doesn't have an agent. You know, so if you're willing to give him, say, $35 million with an agent, won't you, or without an agent, why won't you give him that with an agent? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
So I just think he needs to stop kind of going against agents.
Rules.
Right. Like,
I mean, here's the thing. I just don't. It's against the collective bargaining agreement. George Pickens has an agent. It's the same agent Micah Parsons had. And this came up when the Micah Parsons thing went awry. Jerry was like, it won't affect the negotiation. And David Mulugeta said it won't affect the negotiation. Great. We know David Mulugeta feels, especially with the Cowboys, I'd assume with everyone, talk to me, not my client. Let me earn my 3%. This is ridiculous. Yep. And I don't even have I am going to, out of kindness and to save myself and the show a headache, not really dive into the real implications of Daddy said, Mama said, and that thing. And I'll just say he's just an old man and he's being folksy. Fine. But I really don't like that. And I understand Cowboys media. It's a very interesting beat. The owner is so accessible and all of it. And so I'm not, and it's a hard job. I'm not criticizing it. But there's a lot of jocularity when I would think so. It just surprised me. Nobody's like, hey, Jerry, isn't that against the rules? When you're like, hey, you can talk with the player. Didn't this come up with a player last year that actually you can't negotiate contracts with a player? Like
and he'd be like, I'm just saying if it were to happen.
But I mean, I just
remember
don't get
when he was on the radio show that he goes on all the time and he threatened, I won't come on.
Oh, yeah.
You guys will fire you or something like that.
I think he also has an ownership stake in it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's
Cowboys.
different. But you're right. You're just asking these questions. I hear you completely.
And so I just don't like this. I don't want to act like it's a huge deal.
No,
but it irks me. And it irks me that he is, to me, I think Bruce reading is correct, is implying the deal you can get if you and I work this out together over some whiskeys and cigars is one thing, but if you bring that guy in here, I can't promise you that deal will be there. So you can get a worse deal and pay 3%, which to me is manipulative. And George Pickens is not a professional negotiator. He is a professional football player. He is paying money for someone to do this for him. The person he has doing it for him has a relationship with the Cowboys. And the last time Jerry tried to go around that person, it torched everything.
Ruined the team.
It's not unreasonable for someone to, if you're a Cowboys fan, to expect even folksy Jerry Jones, when he's asked about this, to be like, listen, you guys know, in the past, I have enjoyed talking to players one-on-one. But we saw how that went with Micah, and I have a lot of respect for David Mulugeta. I know his name now. I know I said before I didn't. David and I are going to work this out, whether it's franchise tag or long-term deal. We want to have George here for a long time, but we're going to do this the right way. That's an okay way to expect the head of a $15 billion company to act. and everybody would have been stunned.
I was just saying, if he said that, I'm like, wow.
Well,
Holy
since
cow.
he didn't, he should get a call from the league, though.
Of
'Cause like
course.
you said, if the league won't call them, the Players Association call the league and say,
Yeah.
call Jerry Jones.
Again,
and tell
that
him to
also
stop
is not
going against
happening.
the
That's not
right.
two things that aren't happening to
Should.
close the B block. Baseball, been around for over a century, Brew, and this is the first time a game has ever ended via robot. Orioles up 8-3 on the Rangers, 1-2 count, called ball 2. Orioles challenge it and get the ABS game-ending strikeout. We're a week through ABS, been some highs, been some lows for all different characters. Have you liked the way this has gone?
I'm here for it. I am here for it. I've been calling for this for years.
You have?
A lot of people
Yes.
think he was the first.
What have you been calling for?
On my
automated-
former radio show, The Odd Couple, I would call. We talked more
7
baseball
to
than
10
here.
Fox Sports Radio.
I would call for it. Look, we all grow up with a strike zone. There's one strike zone that all of us who grew up playing baseball, no matter how high you go, have had.
Okay.
And these umpires that think they're bigger than the game have decided decades ago, a few decades ago, you know what? I want my own strike zone.
Yes, that's...
It's not, no, there is
how it
no.
works.
It's the basketball hoop is 10 feet high, no matter where you go. The strike zone is what it is,
Well, just-
no matter who's behind the plate.
Not to be argumentative.
Go ahead and be argumentative.
Well, if one guy is 6 feet and the other guy's 5'10", the strike zone is different.
It's based on your body.
Well, so it's not
He's
a basketball
saying-
hoop.
he's saying
So Wemby, the hoop
No,
should be
but
But what
17
he's
feet
saying
tall.
is the umpire doesn't get to
Yes.
decide what the strike
I know
zone
what he's
is.
saying. I'm saying, but it's a
It's
moving
like
target,
here to
literally.
down. We know what the strike
It's
zone
from
is.
your armpit. Where's your armpit?
And these guys.
Where's
are
that start?
Well, you notice what's been one of maybe the most changes are the low pitches, and that's what's gotten my goat over these last few decades. Is all these low pitches that were called strikes. And now, thanks to technology, that's no longer the case. The only people that don't like it are the umps. That's the only people, because they're getting embarrassed. Because they made up their own strike zone, now they're being exposed.
So here's Salvi. He kept on embarrassing this poor ump. I believe the ump's name was Eddings. And just over and over, these low strikes, and he's like, that's a strike. Now, I think I'm going to find a sympathetic ear across the table.
That one's not even.
That one's obvious.
How's he calling
That
it?
one's great, okay? Some of these other ones,
Well, the millimeter.
this is C.B. Buckner. He had a rough game.
3 inches.
He had 6 misses in one game at Red Sox versus the Reds. That being said, if you're going to miss like that, that's fine. But, Brew, there are pitches being called strikes via ABS. It's like, oh, you missed by a millimeter. Where 99% of the ball is out of the ABS zone. So, and a thread hits it. And like, whoa, that umpire, he should be out of the league. I'm just not a millimeters guy. I'm not a big fan of the metric system.
But so here's the good joke.
That's the truth.
So this is actually not where I was going to go, but I'll respond to you. The problem you have that you have identified, there's no solution to, because the way that you might feel better about it is if what they put on the screen was the square with the rectangle with another rectangle around it.
Yeah.
That was the exact width of a baseball, and for it to be a strike, 100% of the ball would have to be inside that. It's the same thing.
I don't even know. I don't even know what I'd be at.
Right.
I like a little bit
if you just said, no, it's actually only a strike if the majority of a ball, more than 50% of the ball is inside of it, that still is going to come down to millimeters.
Yep.
And so there is no workaround for it, which is why replay in sports is terrible.
This guy goes.
It is always terrible. It always sounds like, it always starts with, Vinny Testaverde's helmet was in the end zone, not the ball. We gotta fix that. That's how it starts. That's the first domino of the meme. And then the giant domino of the meme is, hey, you know that sick catch from Calvin Johnson? Turns out he set the ball down, and upon replay, we realized that's not a catch. Did anyone who's ever played football know that? Of course not. And, replay in baseball. We just can't have a guy get called safe when he was tagged down on a stolen base. That'll be quick and easy. Sure. Why not do it? Then all of a sudden we find out thousands of bases that have been rightfully stolen. The guy, for a millisecond, after he stole the base, comes off the bag, he's out. Take that, Lou Brock.
They need to change that
You're cheating forever.
No, that's what it is.
Well, that rule should be changed.
Well,
that's ridiculous.
Came out for a second.
And I'm telling you.
The bottom of your cleats.
I'm telling you that all of the replay, it sounds like a good idea. And then it turns out every basketball game you've ever played at the Y in your life has gotten out of bounds wrong. Because if I'm holding the ball and you knock it out of my hands, if we get it slow enough, Bill Nye tells me it went off the outside of my pointer finger and it's out on me. I don't like it.
My answer would be we're not making millions of dollars in our rec runs at the Y.
No, but it just doesn't.
Millions of dollars based on
I just don't think it makes it better. And tennis is the one that I've said I'm okay with because it's so fast and accurate. But the more I go to the U.S. Open every year, I'm like, you know what I miss? Arguing.
Yelling at the ump.
Yelling at the umps.
Well, VAR,
that was in!
VAR, I think, is like, well, your shoelace. Offsides.
Live from New York. It's a show that's wondering what happened to Dalton Connect.
Yeah.
Guy scored 37 points. Remember that?
Yeah.
Who was that against?
The Jazz.
Nailed it.
It's a couple weeks into his rookie year. now he's getting his minutes taken by Drew Timme for the South Bay Lakers.
Drew Timme.
And Bronny's not even available for South Bay Lakers because they need him for the real Lakers because Mark Smart's out.
What's going on?
Has anyone checked in with Al Horford's sister if she's still sad for all the players that could have been drafted instead of Bronny?
I don't even remember that story.
Oh, she was very upset.
Why?
Because it's unfair.
To who?
To the guys who could have gone 55 and instead Bronny does. Now
Like
Bronny's
who?
playing real minutes. I don't know. Some other second rounder.
I'm sure
She
you
was
guys
very
having
upset.
a blast in
Spain.
Today, Lakers Thunder is one of these teams facing a must-win. Meanwhile, Joker locks up a triple-double for the season. Has he become underrated?
I have a hot take on this.
The fact that it's not even in the first hour of the show. Not that the second hour of the show is not as powerful as the first
No,
hour.
we lead the second hour of the show with our best stuff.
That's a good point.
Tears, Bud List.
That's right. My letter.
So are you bringing back Bruto?
I'm not telling you. Got to get to the letter. Time for the most motivational segment in all sports. Also time where we read some viewer mail. Christina went to the post office today. I said, thank you, Christina. She said, you're welcome. Dear Wilds, loved the show. Thank you. And loved the last segment on the implementation of ABS in baseball. I tell you what, people rip the post office. These letters come quick. Have you guys considered utilizing ABS within the show? Sincerely, Don and Don. ABS within the show, I'm not sure. It's more of an the automated blade system. Again, why do we do this?
Okay.
Because it makes Drew happy.
I have no idea what was coming.
Automated blade system.
Okay.
Yeah. Jackson Blade comes in and dispenses
I like my
justice
outfit.
to
That's
the
right.
umpires who
I had to
call.
come in and
Yeah.
let them know you're not above the game.
Exactly.
Call the strike zone
Drew's
like
been
it
saying
was
this for decades.
when we were kids.
The low strike. The odd couple.
Low
Tune in.
strike.
7
The ball
o'clock.
at my ankles is never been a strike.
Hey, honey, how was your
Except for
drive?
these-
Good.
these
I listened to a half hour of Brew talking about the low strike in 2004.
All right, here we go. Number 3, Mike Brown.
Oh, boy.
Mike's in a tough
Oh,
spot.
no.
Mike is in a tough spot. Look, you replaced a guy that led the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years.
Oh, yeah.
So you obviously know what your charge was. Get them to the finals at least, if not win the whole thing. Here's the problem. You got a good team, but right now Boston looks better. And I'm not really putting much into the fact that y'all beat them last year in the playoffs. Boston looks better. Nick, I think Detroit looks better.
Yeah.
They have all season. They've owned the Knicks in the regular season. But the fact that they played so well without Cade bodes well for them in the playoffs. And then on top of that, you might get a Philadelphia team with a healthy Joel Embiid and Paul George, not to mention VJ Edgecombe, the nice rookie, in the first round.
Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, of course. That goes without saying, Maxey. And so you could get them in the first round. Now, last year, you beat Philly in 6, but no Paul George and no VJ Edgecombe. So you got a tough postseason ahead of you. The good news is, if you come through it and get to the finals, you will be celebrated. And look, Mike, you're a very good coach, 2-time coach of the year. I definitely believe in you, maybe a little more than I believe in your team. All right, at number 2, sorry, Ramsey, Luka Doncic. Now, Luka, you can't come out and say it, but you want the MVP just as much as Wemby.
Oh.
And you should.
Why can't
I'm
you
not
say
mad at it. Because now it would look like you're copying. Because Wemby's come out and said it and really it's paid dividends for him, and you would look like you're copying. And here's the other thing, Nick. Luka, you might not admit this, Nick. You need it. You need it more than Wemby.
Oh, yeah. Need some heart.
Wemby's 22. You're 27. And Wemby is talking like he wants all the hardware. Like Shea, Luka, Cade, get your MVP now. Get it this year. Maybe get your championship this year. Because Wemby wants all the hardware. Now, there's been a gift given to you, though, Luka. A gift, an opportunity. You got 2 games coming up against Oklahoma City within the next week. If you ball out like you've been doing really all season, you play great and you win, wow. That would move some. Now, in some ways, it might help Wemby because
maybe
they become number 1. But it would help Luka. It would help you if you go out there and put up 40-something, whatever, you play great, and you beat Oklahoma City. That would be huge. And even though it would help Wemby maybe get the number 1 seed, maybe you meet OKC in the playoffs in the second round, and you're in their heads.
Oh.
And you got the experience LeBron James with you. Maybe you guys could do something. So, Luka, I definitely believe in you. Your game is great. Contrary to popular opinion, people think I'm hating on Luka now. I love your game, your production. A little ball dominant for my liking, but you're a great, all-time great player. All right, I believe in you, Luka. Number 1, Dan Hurley.
Oh, wow.
All right, the dude's a heck of a coach. A heck of a coach. I don't even mind all of his histrionics on the sideline. I actually like him.
But I can't like
I do like him. I was watching him as they were getting stomped by Duke. I'm sitting there watching him, and he seems like he's cool. He's obviously directing, but he seems cool. And I was just thinking, what is going on in his head? Because it looked like they're going to get blasted, and obviously he had a plan, and they came back and won it. Here's the deal. He has won 8 years at UConn. You've won 2 national championships already, 2 national championships in the previous 3 years. Nick, if Hurley wins this championship, he will have 3 championships in 4 years. No one, not Bobby Knight, not Roy Williams, not Mike Krzyzewski, no one not named John Wooden has ever done that in men's basketball. And so, Nick, I know you like Pitino, but if Hurley can win this championship, and after what we saw last weekend, why would you put it past him? If he can win this championship, I think he's got a great argument.
Better than Coach K?
Well, in this era where there is one and done, and there's the NIL and players are transferring in the portal every year, that would be incredibly impressive. I'm not saying I would say he's better than Coach K, but he have an argument as the best modern coach since John Wooden.
If he wins, have 3 championships and a better winning percentage that we saw from Cool Stats yesterday than Coach K.
Better tournament winner.
Better tournament, you're right.
Yeah.
flirted with going to the Lakers. We didn't know how much of that was real, how much of it was a contract leverage move. Do you think that he would entertain calls from the NBA again, even though UConn has him locked up?
I think he should stay in college.
Those are written in
his
pencil.
style, I don't know if he's hard driving. I don't know if that would work in the NBA. I'm not saying it wouldn't, but it'd be a question.
Jay
mark.
Wright seems to get his phone ringing every
Jay
single
I think
Wright's
he
a
would
little
have
different style.
opportunities.
Yeah, I think he'd get opportunities. But I would stay in college.
I think the best college jobs are better jobs.
Certainly more stability.
Well, yeah, it's Spoelstra and Kerr. It's like, okay, well, so Spo, had to win almost immediately, and Kerr did win immediately, and other than that, it's 5 years. It's like a nice term at college plus a year of hanging out.
Yep.
And so even if they don't win this, at this point now, he can be at UConn for about as long as he wants. And my other thing that I wanted to ask you before great
bud list.
As always, but it's not 4:12 yet, so we have a couple minutes to play with. UConn has just unequivocally, definitively become, as long as you incorporate, and you should, the women's game, the university of college basketball in America.
Yes.
Certainly with the women.
It's because you've had 3 different head coaches on the men's side win national championships. Calhoun was a legend, obviously. Kevin Ollie won a championship.
Yep.
And now Hurley is, talking college basketball dynasty, whatever that is. Gino's been to 26 Final Fours in 31 years? Something absurd.
I don't have it off the top of my head.
thought I saw that. But I mean,
they're going to win again.
Yeah, and so it's really
It doesn't feel like, I don't know, maybe I should start banging that drum harder. It still feels like Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, and then the graphic has women differently. Women
that's the
unequivocally.
thing. I think only if you're thinking of just the men. If you're thinking of both, it's clearly
both. But women do carry most of the load.
But if you
they're like prime UCLA.
There's no men's team other than UCLA under Wooden that's been even close to that.
But if we were talking just men's, UConn has an argument that post Wooden, if post Wooden's Bruins, they are the most successful program.
Yes.
Like they got 5 or 6.
Yeah, the championships, and it's just it's not just like
need some of that Afrin.
Like North Carolina is Dean Smith, Duke is Coach K.
Right.
I think it's more impressive that they've done it with multiple coaches. I don't know.
I'll tell you what's impressive.
What?
The fact that it's 4:12. It's time for the Sports Media Ombudsman. Got a little tease of this in the beginning of the show. I'm ready for this because it's about things I don't understand. Gets my goat.
I gotta tell you. I'm proud of the Sports Media Ombudsman.
There is another
just
one, or you're talking about
overall,
yourself?
I'm going third person. That's how proud I am. Because a couple weeks ago, we did something risky. We called out by name, a friend, a guy KW might run into at the drugstore that I share an agent with, and a pal, credible reporter in Ramport, because I thought he, along with others, he was just the subject of the Sports Media Ombudsman's hire, was misinforming the public about Travis Kelce's deal. You got tens of millions of Swifties thinking the family's about to come into 3 years, $55 million, and they were not.
Yeah.
And I could see that train coming down the tracks when the Chiefs.
Their spending.
The Chiefs actually signed Travis to 1 year, $12 million, when they know they're going to have to essentially cut him after next season when he retires. Swifties see 3 years, $55 million. They're not following cap mechanics. They're going to be mad. They're going to turn on the Chiefs in 9 months. Be like, you cut Travis? Yeah. How dare you with everything he did for you? And it was because what was a contractual mechanism to spread out a cap figure was reported as real money. And I am here to say the Sports Media Ombudsman has effected some change.
Okay.
Because Kirk Cousins signed a 1 year, $20 million contract that for cap reasons is a 5 year, $130 million contract. So let's check and see how some of America's biggest sports reporters reported it. Sources: Raiders are signing Kirk Cousins to a contract that pays him $10 million for playing in Las Vegas in 2026 and a $10 million option, fully guaranteed bonus with no offset. There is a 2-year team option for $80 million. So he's like, listen, it's a 1-year, $20 million. Let's see what Adam Schefter said. Shefty, comp update. Kirk Cousins signed a 5-year, $172 million deal with the Raiders.
Amazing.
Hold on.
Wow.
That in reality is a 1-year, fully guaranteed $20 million deal. Contains the club's option for 2 years at $80 million. Then the same stuff we heard from before, and then more guaranteed money. Tom Pelissero, how'd you do on this one? Okay, I'm gonna need you to zoom that one back on in on for me, Dusk. If I could explain it to the audience, that's fine.
We can't.
There it is. Kirk Cousins will now make $20 million fully guaranteed for playing the 2026 season. Go down a few bullet points. Raiders hold a 2-year, $80 million option for 27-28, which is unlikely, though not impossible, to be picked up. Meaning is this: nobody flat out said, Kirk Cousins, 5 years, $130 million. The legend at the bank did it again. What's up, KW?
I did see that tweet around. I'm just saying the ombudsman's watch
is not over.
It's not over.
Okay, well, I want to give credit to those 3 guys for, even though they were long, convoluted tweets, if you read them, nobody left that thinking, wait, are the Raiders not drafting Mendoza? Are they going to trade the pick? Are they committed to Kirk Cousins?
Can I just also give the sports media ombudsman maybe open up his purview a little bit?
Sure.
Can we just sign the guy to whatever he's getting paid? Is that too much to ask?
Why
do I have to do 5 years?
So let me explain Kirk's deal quickly, just because I actually think it's interesting. The reason they are signing him to the option bonus is so the offset money from the Falcons doesn't eat into his money. So it kind of screws the Falcons a little bit, and it allows him to make more money. So the reason it's $10 million now and $10 million later is so he can make that money and the Falcons have to pay the biggest share of it possible. That's the first reason. The reason for the option bonus is simply so, in theory, if he, has a Sam Darnold year and they want to keep him, they have that ability. But in reality, so they can spread this $20 million over multiple years of the cap from a salary cap perspective. That's why they're doing it. I hope that makes sense.
Clear it up.
Well, you tell me.
No.
It did a little bit.
He did a good job.
It did a little bit. And I'm glad that the sports media ombudsman.
The CBAs this is how they are.
Yeah.
They're really.
I think they should be streamlined.
I don't.
It's tough.
You like it?
I like it.
I'd like it to be
It makes me more
How much am I getting paid this year?
Yeah.
$20 million. How much you pay me? 10. Sounds good. Oh, no. This one hurts my heart. I'm putting the Boston Red Sox on the Bud list. All last year, I had a bit of a running joke about the Colorado Rockies when they were 35 and a half games behind the Dodgers. And I said, it's getting late early for the Colorado Rockies. Well, right now, the Boston Red Sox, we're 6 games into the season. The Red Sox are 1-5. They are 4 games behind the Yankees. They're in last place. And you say, hey, it's early. A lot of teams are 4 games out. Not true. It's just the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you run into the hot-hitting Astros. Not a big deal. Your bats are slumping a little bit. Again, it's early. Well, I think there's major issues afoot. Here was the Red Sox a few days ago. Those were 2 swinging strikes you saw, then some defensive errors. Okay, run scores, now the ball scoots away. We're back on the mound for the 3rd pitch. Watch what happens. That, my friend, is strike 3.
And the end of the inning. It should have been.
Guess who was paying attention? No one.
What?
Nobody. Byron Bailiff didn't pay attention.
The umpire
didn't pay attention. Alex Cora didn't pay attention. He had several foul balls, but he's already out.
What happened to ABS?
In the
in the the score bug, it was 0-2. He swings and misses, and the poor person who's operating ends up walking. The person's operating just said, I guess that was a ball. I guess I missed it. Someone online had to be like, hey, that was 3 consecutive swings and misses.
They never fixed it.
There's nothing to fix.
The umpire after the game apologized.
Yes, but that's it. So I think there's something majorly wrong outside the fact that since we won the first game against the Reds, but since then, here are the graphics. We're 0-5 last. Batting average 28th, 29th, runners with scoring position.
So you guys are in last place in your division?
Last place.
So who's the division leader in the AL East?
The Yankees, my
Who's
second
the
favorite
division
team.
leader in the AL Central?
I believe it's the Royals.
It is. So, Brew, do you remember when we did our baseball picks?
Yes.
Oh.
And I had the audacity to believe in the Royals, and Wilds called me basically a childish homer.
No, I shouldn't be a homer.
And then explained how me picking my hometown team to go to the World Series was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And him picking his hometown team to
not
go to the
from there.
World
I'm actually
Series
from, like, miles away.
was totally reasonable. How's that? I mean, it's early. How's that age?
6 games. It's aging fine.
Really, you're in last place.
You
We're in
just
first
said
place.
it's getting late
You just
early.
said getting late early.
It's getting late early, but keyword early. Not keyword late.
I mean, the worst record.
Worst
record in all of it.
It's my stat. You can't put my stat back on me. I asked Josh to make the stat. What is our bet? You owe me $100,000
What do I owe you $100,000?
I do.
for the bet, that last bet that we made.
I paid that.
In what?
Aria chips?
Chick-fil-A sandwich. The fight for the college basketball crown continues live from Las Vegas tonight. Stanford taking on West Virginia. Then you got Rutgers taking on Creighton. All starts at 7:30 Eastern right here on FS1. Right now, we're headed back to the hardwood of the NBA. 3 stories, no breaks, it's fast break. Denver gave the Jazz the blues.
Good. That was good.
Thank you.
I'm supposed to laugh at that?
Well,
I am
They
laughing.
used to be from New Orleans, Brew.
yeah.
Broussard's like Smith now.
Yeah, she
It
really
is.
called it.
It was a perfect name for New Orleans.
Yeah.
Well, it should, yeah. I mean, the Pelicans are nice and everything, but we should go back to the Jazz.
Jazz.
We
is
should
perfect.
trade.
Yes,
They should
They
trade.
should
names.
trade.
Come
You're
on,
right.
let's do this.
Sorry, we got to get to the Jazz. Okay, they scored
Utah-
117.
Need to get to
Skis.
Jokic.
Oh, sorry.
Utah skis.
Let's come on.
How about that?
Joker at 15, 17, and 12. He
Makes
clinches
sense.
back-to-back triple-double seasons. Has he become underrated, considering he's leading off fast break?
I think Joker is perfectly rated. I think he would win the poll of who's the best player alive. I don't think it would be unanimous, and I don't think it should be unanimous. I think that it's as tightly, there's as many great candidates for that argument right now as we've had in a very long time, guys having awesome seasons. I also think he has been fairly decorated. He has 3 MVPs. The last 5 years, he has finished in MVP voting. First, second. And so that means he has the same number of MVPs as Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And the only people with more MVPs than him are Kareem, Michael, Russell, Bron, and Wilt. That's the full list.
Yeah.
And while what he is doing this year is remarkable, I'm not certain you can say he's better this year than he was last year. Here's the numbers, this year to last year. He's going to play fewer games this year. He's going to average fewer points. He's going to average 0.3 more rebounds and 0.6 more assists on slightly less efficient shooting, both times for the 4 seed.
Yeah.
Now, if people have, moved, they're like, what happened to Joker? Like, that's ridiculous. If anybody's saying that, then yes, he's underrated. I don't think anybody's saying that. Right. So I think he's properly rated, and I don't think he, right now, Brew, has a legitimate case to be MVP. I think because of the other guys, how strong those cases are, even though it's a good enough season to win MVP, if we compare it to 2006 or something, but that's where I
Yeah, look, I think you can, just the MVP part, you can argue for 4 guys. Wemby, Shea, Luka, Jokic. But I agree with Nick. I think he is properly rated, and that's because in America, particularly in basketball, and football, it's about winning championships. Not just about winning championships, but that is a big part of it. And he has not won to date to the level that his statistics would, and accolades even, would suggest he has. He's won one championship, which is great. The monkey's off his back, but only been to one other conference final.
Correct.
All right, so he puts up historic numbers, and the reward for that are potential MVPs, which he's gotten 3, first-team All-NBAs, gonna be a Hall of Famer, talked about glowingly. Like, that's the reward. But if you want to get spoken of higher than he already is, you got to win more. Like, to talk about him more would be to talk about him in the Magic Johnson, Larry Bird type category. Mm-hmm. And he just hasn't. All the guys talked about in that vein have won more than him. So I also will say this. If Russell Westbrook had not averaged a triple-double 4 times, we would look at Joker like differently. I mean, and again, he's still recognized as a top 20 player of all time, top 15 even to some people. But it's been done, the triple-double, so that and he did it last year.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so that takes a little bit.
And do you agree with me that most people
I do think most people would still say he's the best player in the world. Yep. I agree with that.
Moving on. Knicks, Sixers both toppled tanking squads. New York put up 130 on the Grizz. The Sixers put up 153 on the Wizards. They'd meet in the playoffs. Should New York be concerned?
Yes. I'm not saying I would necessarily pick Philadelphia, but look, if Embiid and Paul George are healthy, then they could be a lot to handle. And we know Embiid and Cat have this little bit of rivalry. I think Embiid definitely wants to take it to Cat. Last year, Embiid, who has not been a phenomenal playoff player, gave the Knicks 33-10 in the 6-game playoff series. No Paul George in that series. No VJ Edge come for Philly in that series. So you add those two along with Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Oh, yeah. And the pressure, all of the pressure, all of it on the Knicks. None on the Sixers. Yeah, it would be it'd be a tough series. Tough first-round series.
So you guys know I have a soft spot for the Sixers, the what if, the possibilities of it. Sure. I want to ask you a question, KW. This is the scenario. The Celtics win their round 1 series in 5 games against whoever it is. They're at home watching Game 7 of round 1. The Sixers and Knicks have played a 6-game battle, and going into Game 7, both teams, nobody suffered an injury. Both teams are fully healthy. And the Celtics are getting the winner. The Knicks are the 3 seed, and the Knicks beat the Celtics last year. Mm-hmm. But in this scenario, the Sixers they are healthy going into Game 7.
Can you magically assure that they'll be healthy?
No, I'm asking you in that if you're at home as a Celtics fan watching that Game 7, who are you rooting for? Because you think it gives you a Celtics fan a better chance.
It's such a boring,
to play the Knicks or the Sixers.
A bad answer. I'd assume that the Sixers would not be able to make it through 2 playoff runs totally.
But just assuming they're healthy.
But I'm assuming they're healthy going into that they are going. The winner of that series is going to be healthy going into round 2.
The Knicks.
No, you don't want 35-point Embiid if he's back. and
I know. And Paul George has 29 points in. It's only 4 games, but since he got back,
rested Paul George. All NBA. Bruce going to have an All NBA ballot. Maxey's all NBA Maxey. Edge, it's a very interesting setup of fresh Paul George. If we get the 6 weeks of healthy Embiid, it's
very interesting.
And I tell you what, the Knicks, God bless them, they beat Philly or Boston last year. I'm not going to put much stock in that if they meet, because I think Boston is going to be like really up for that series. Like, I think last year they relaxed. They had owned them in the regular season. All they were doing is getting flowers thrown at their feet all season. And the Knicks, to their credit, played great, but this is going to be different.
Listen, I think a Knicks-Sixers series would be a 7-game series. And I think the Knicks would be super bummed if that's the team that... I know the Hawks have won 17-19. We're going to talk about them in a minute. I think that the Magic and Heat are, right in that. I think the Knicks would be bummed if that's who they get as the 6th seed.
All right, well, let's head down to Atlanta for our weekly Hawks conversation. Alexander Walker had 32 last night. Hawks are 18-3 since the break. Finished a season sweep against the Magic, which Orlando coach Jamal Mosley outlined here. Take a listen, bro.
What it means, we got swept by the Hawks. That's what it means. They kicked our ass. There is no, what does it mean? What does it feel? That legitimately, the Hawks have kicked our ass. Faithfully.
Brew, is it finally time to start talking about the Hawks?
Well, look, the Hawks have had a tremendous run, 18-3. Got some nice Jalen Johnson. I think he's going to be all NBA too. Yeah,
definitely.
They play very good defense. They're a top 10 defense. They're long and athletic and rangy, and they shoot the three well. They're like 6th, I think, in the top in 3-point shooting. So they're dangerous. Here's the thing: in the 18-3 run, their losses are to Houston, Boston, and Miami, which are almost the only 3 good teams they've played. Now, they have beat Detroit, albeit without Cade. They beat Boston without, I think it was just beat them without Tatum, it was, which still is a good win. But they beat Orlando twice, which they obviously own. They beat Portland. They beat Philly twice, but again, before Embiid and Paul George got back. Yeah, so I'm just saying, 18-3, you would be like, oh, they actually could do something. I just want to temper it a little bit, but they're on the rise, and I like what they're doing.
Nick, same question. Is it time to start talking about the Hawks? No. Saturday's baseball night in America on Fox. Pete Crow Armstrong and Danny's Cubs taking on Jose Ramirez in the Guardians, or Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves against the Snakes. Snakes are doing okay. I think
they're better than the Red Sox.
Oh, yeah. Everybody is. Yeah. Baseball Night in America, Saturday, 7 Eastern, only on Fox. Lakers in OKC tonight. LA has lost both of their games against the reigning champs. OKC, this surprised me, almost 10-point favorites. Yeah. When the Lakers lose, they lose bad, or they used to at least. Lakers have been scorching hot. Is this a must-win for the Lake Show?
I am really excited for this game, because the Lakers have obviously been playing great, and this is a great test, not to mention something that could happen in the playoffs. Yep. So I am actually going to say it is a must-win for the Thunder.
What a turn.
Yes, for the Thunder, because they're only 2 games ahead of San Antonio.
Which is really
and
a game
San Antonio has the tiebreaker. So if they lose this game, and I know they play the Lakers again in a few days. But if they lose this game, this is at home. So let's say they lose and San Antonio catches them and becomes the number 1 seed. You lost the number 1 seed. You lost home court advantage throughout the Western Conference playoffs. Now you play these Lakers in the second round, okay? These Lakers who will have beaten you on your home floor recently, and who are incredibly experienced. LeBron obviously has seen it all. Luka has beaten this OKC team in the playoffs a couple years ago, got to the finals. Wow. So he's not afraid of OKC at all. But especially if they go into their house tonight and beat them. So I think that would really be intriguing. So I think to avoid all of that, OKC must win tonight.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think this is a can't win for the Lakers. Not that they can't win, but that even a win is not necessarily good for them.
Wow.
So here's why.
A can't win.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Brew. I appreciate it. Because what Brew didn't include in if the Thunder lose, meaning if the Lakers win, and the Spurs catch the Thunder for the 1 seed, the person whose MVP case that helps the most is not Luka Doncic. If Luka in the next week plays Shea and outplays him twice, the biggest beneficiary of that will be Wemby.
Yes.
because Wemby will then get the 1 seed, and Luka is, for narratively, I don't think fairly, but narratively considered, and also ran in this all of a sudden two-man race. Exactly. This is so unbelievable to me. This was by the Vegas odds, for whatever that's worth, this was a one-man race for months. And then Luka and Wemby were distant second, third. Since then, all Luka's done is win Player of the Month and play his best ball. Wemby has also played really well, but Wemby was like, I should be MVP, guys. And the odds makers were like, well, if you say so. And so
it did work really well.
So here's the other thing. I happen to believe the Lakers would be better served playing the Spurs in round 2 than the Thunder, because that's where the experience edge really comes in.
Right.
And while both teams, obviously Spurs and Thunder, are very young, the Spurs are not crazy deep. The Spurs not compared to the Thunder. I think the Thunder.
Deep, they got 8 guys averaging double figures.
No, so that's kind of where I was going. I think the Spurs have 7 guys they really, really like, and that makes them, they're deep in the Lakers. I think the Thunder have 11 guys they trust. Point being this, I think that the Thunder are, for a lot of reasons, a much tougher matchup in the playoffs this year for the Lakers than the Spurs are. And if the Lakers win this game, they are more likely to play the Thunder than the Spurs. But the flip side is, if they lose this game, they all of a sudden fall in jeopardy of going to the 4 seed, which makes them, again, more likely to play the Thunder than the Spurs. So I see yes, you want to win and you want to feel confident about it, and it is, once the Lakers traded for Luka last year, they whooped the Thunder the first time they played them, and then the second time they played them, it was tied with 6 minutes left. Luka yelled at a fan. The ref kicked him out. Wild saluted the ref and said, damn straight, that's what you should have done.
Somebody's got to put their foot down.
And Brew and I felt like we were robbed of what could have been a great ending. And so Wemby's not playing tonight. It just got announced. I just read, against the injury management against the Clippers. So there is a scenario where Luka puts up 46 points in a win over the Thunder, and the biggest move, and Wemby sits, and the biggest MVP move is Wemby's odds getting better.
If this,
but this not playing tonight could hurt Wemby too.
Well, I think not playing should hurt you. Wilds yelled at me for that too.
It's back-to-back.
Oh yeah, back-to-backs. Nobody's ever played back-to-backs.
If this game,
Luke, I think, scored 60 on a back-to-back last week when he won Player of the Month. I think that's 60 points on that.
That's why he's going to be
the
third
plane
or
got in
fourth
at
in
5 in the
MVP.
morning.
Scored,
There's no room service.
could any result really change your view of these teams? If the Lakers get blown out, or if the Lakers, we've seen the Thunder get handled easily too. Is it just a game, or could this really change your viewpoint on these teams?
You never want to overreact to regular season games, but if the Lakers win this game, that does make me like, oh man, because as you kind of pointed out, we thought last year, okay, they kind of have OKC's number.
Or
if they meet them in the playoffs, they could give them some problems. You laid out last year the way it went. So it would raise the Lakers, in my view. And if they get blown out, if the Lakers get blasted, then it would just be like,
but I feel like
they're not going to match up well with OKC or probably even the Spurs.
No matter what happens, because they play again so soon, they're going to have that. But I also, the other reason that I do think the Thunder are going to win tonight is, I think and this is one of the reasons, whatever Lakers contending chances they have are so tenuous, because they really have to stay healthy. They really need I think Marcus Smart who's not playing tonight, in a game or a series against the Thunder, is more important than Austin Reeves. Like, I think that, like, if Austin was out tonight and Marcus was playing, LeBron just kind of assumes Austin's offensive role. Sure. But without Marcus, I just don't, like, their best option to guard Shea, I guess, is Vanderbilt. And their second best option, I think, is Bronny. Like, they don't have anyone who guards.
Shea's going to give you 35 regardless.
Yeah,
with Marcus Smart, he's still giving you 30.
No, but you understand what I mean. Like Marcus Smart is the Laker who can guard the point of attack, and so
he's a huge part of that team.
Right, and so particularly against Shea, and so that's a big loss.
Live from New York, first things first, overtime. Today, is Wemby gunning for the MVP? News breaking that he's sitting out tonight against the Clippers. Does that hurt his case? Does that ruin this whole segment? Meanwhile, is Fernando Mendoza watching Kirk Cousins start week 1? A take that you got to see to believe.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
A rookie needs to make the playoffs again.
What do you mean? Of course it'll happen again. Doesn't mean it's going to happen immediately.
Well, it should.
Okay.
You had them last year in the playoffs.
It hasn't been the top pick making the playoffs.
Yeah, it hasn't been the number
Because
one.
usually they go to the
Also hasn't been the national champion. And finally,
Wasn't Mac Jones?
Exactly. And he made the playoffs. Thank you. You came on my side. And finally, special edition of Frenemies.
Here we go.
We're playing this is a greatest hits version for Parkins. Parkins like, I got an idea. How about is Justin Herbert better than Patrick Mahomes? Not better than, just performs better than.
No, this is actually oddly a Mike McDaniel. Who knew that those two guys were such huge Mike McDaniel fans all the time?
And the
since day one.
the two starting tackles will be back.
Oh,
That's
That
right.
helps.
Yeah.
Chargers.
Love what they did in free agency.
Yeah, the Chargers are looking good.
Yeah.
Harbaugh.
we'll discuss.
It's an Eric
What did they
Bieniemy-
do in free agency?
Yeah, I don't even
that you
remember.
love so much.
What'd they do?
They lost a guard. They lost a.
They
lost
signed a guard, they signed a center.
Well, yeah, because they lost their guard
They
and center.
retired.
They.
You don't think they've upgraded at the interior of their offensive line?
I actually don't. I think, but whatever. We'll save it for
Chris Broussard, Kevin Wildes, Nick Wright, and of course, Danny Parkins.
I'm here.
We're on Wemby watch.
There we are.
25 and 10 at the half last night against the Warriors. Back-to-back games with 41, Parkins. He made his MVP case, and he was like, you know what? Scoring's not that big of a deal. Then he decided to give scoring a shot. He talked to Scott Van Pelt post-game.
I do care deeply about it, and I think that all the greats, that are in the Hall of Fame or that are in our mind the best of all time, they have fought and grabbed everything they could grab early on in their career, And if I want to make my spot among the greats, I gotta try to not miss any occasion I have to put my name up there.
So that was Wemby on the MVP, and again, he's sitting out tonight, so I don't know. It's more scoring the key to Wemby winning the MVP.
It'll help,
Yeah.
obviously, and he's clearly gunning for it.
He's clearly
gunning for it.
doubt about that.
And that's awesome. Like, it's okay.
Thank you, Dan.
Of course. But I'm consistent on this. I like brashness and calling your shot. Like, I liked Timothy Chalamet saying, I want to go down as one of the all-time greats. And people were like, I don't know, you're 29. That's a little off-putting. I'm like, no, I want my elite artists, athletes to know that they're great if they actually are and can back it up. And that's what Wemby's doing. And he's doing it in the context also with winning.
Right.
Like, I actually disagree with you, Brew, on the 1 seed on this one. Because if they both end up with 60, like if the Spurs end up with 61 wins and the Thunder end up with 63 wins, or vice versa, I don't know. You both had 60-win seasons. It's not like the Nuggets last year when Shea had 18 more wins than Jokic. Like, they're both
Good point.
they're clearly contributing to winning.
I would say when you're talking about world-class athletes, this much difference is all it takes. The difference in winning gold and not placing in 100 meters is this much.
Sure.
So that makes a difference.
And the impact is between having the 1 seed and the 2 seed is massive.
Yeah.
It is massive for the teams. I'm not sure when the differential is that small if it should be that massive for an individual award.
Okay.
Personally, and I would vote Shea over Wemby because of the guard impact and because J-Dub being out. But I think it's very close. And I just think this run that Wemby is on right now, because we do the numbers for the whole season as we should. It's a full it's a full season award. But part of what's happened with his minutes is he was load managing the knee injury early. Like, so we pulled the last 15 games because they happen to be 15-0 in the last 15 games that Wemby's played, which is pretty good. And in that stretch of time, he would be 3rd in total points, 2nd in total rebounds, 1st obviously in blocks, 1st obviously in plus minus, while being 57th in minutes.
Yeah.
So the minutes.
So that's in the
Okay. But so the minutes being down, actually with how well he's been playing recently, is not impacting the number of points that he scored.
So that's really fascinating. And you know what would be awesome? And the NBA should consider doing it.
I'm not.
And I know that we're talking MVP for the year.
Yeah.
But if they broke the season down into like periods of time, like I don't know, you could call it the last 15 games or like a month. And then they gave a player of the month, we would know who was the best player that month. Because I think it's a guy. I think they do that actually, and they even do West and East. Yeah. And Luka, who he wasn't not 418 points. I think it was an even 600. And we don't have assists on there because Wemby's, that's not his, like Brew brings up a lot. Magic Johnson won MVP scoring less than 24 points. I think as great as Wemby is, I think Magic's a touch better passer, maybe more impactful.
As good of a defender though?
No, I'm just saying,
the
question is he gunning for MVP though?
And so,
of course we know he's gunning for MVP.
I think he's obviously gunning for MVP. And I think the way he's gunning for it, to be totally honest, contradicts his initial case for it.
Yeah, definitely.
He's not defending
he changes,
well?
he changes.
Well,
he had 3 blocks last night.
So hold on, Brew. Let's be fair about just these last 2 games. These last 2 games, the Spurs as a team, and I am told and I believe the biggest reason the Spurs have a dominant defense, we all agree, is Wemby.
Absolutely.
He is the most dominant defensive player. And the last 2 games, against the tanking Bulls and the G League Warriors, the Spurs, by eye test and statistical test, have not defended at the level they had defended all year. And Wemby, by eye test and statistical test, has played a different style of offense than he had been playing.
He hasn't played a different style of offense. He scored more. He's playing the same exact style. He's just shooting a little bit more. But they're not running offense through him. He's not posting up anymore. He's shooting more.
Okay, well that's what
That's not style.
Okay, well all right. Then I'll use a different word. He is looking for his shot more after telling us the reason he should win MVP was we dominated OKC, even though he didn't dominate them. That the defense is half the award, and there's more to offense than scoring. In his gunning for it, he's like, all right, maybe a little less defense and a hell of a lot more scoring. And I like 40-point games. I like high-volume scoring, especially when it's efficient. It's also why I think Shea, if we can do the 30 points per game thing, I think Shea has a vice grip on this award because literally everybody ever who's scored 30 a night and the team's won more than 60 has won MVP. We're 8 for 8 on it.
Well, but you don't think he has a vice grip because if Wemby gets the number 1 seed, this will still be true.
Yeah, and I didn't.
You might vote for
Wemby. Right, I didn't say I would. I do think right now though Shea has a vice grip on it, and I understand you're not saying he's MVP, Danny.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that when we did a Wemby topic like a week or 2 ago, and I said everybody who had been 24 points or more, 10 or more rebounds, and 3 or more blocks, and their team won 60 or more games, they all won MVP.
Yeah, well, that was 2 other guys, right?
3
other guys. Yeah, I think this is there's a little more weight behind 8 people across all the full decades, but we'll see, or 8 instances, not 8 people. But I think it's interesting, Brew, that in his MVP push, to me, he has slightly changed his approach. And I think that the fact that he had 40 on opening night and then one 40-point game until in the time between opening night and he made that MVP speech. And since then, he's scored 40 both times, tells me, or the last 2, he is emphasizing that more. Yeah. I don't know that that's bad.
Because he may feel like he needs to, like you've said.
Yes, he needs to score
24 points, which is ridiculous because 24 points a game has won MVP. Magic Johnson won 3 MVPs, never averaged 24 points a game in a season. Yep. Now, you say he was a great passer, which he was, the best in history. This is the best defender in history. So they both have things they do that go beyond their points per game. That's all I've said with Wemby.
And I don't think I at once said you can't win MVP at 24
You've
points
talked
per
about
game.
24 points a game there's no way.
I just think in a year where, and I think when the other candidates are having such historically great offensive season.
But he's having a historically great defensive season.
I understand, which is why he's in the conversation. I just don't think it's enough to offset it. But I know that's not really what we're talking about.
Here's a graphic that I have that shows Wemby's impact on the look at his on court. The point differential 17. It's doubles, almost doubles Shea, doubles Luka, almost triples Luka, kind of, and it's more 4 points ahead of Jokic. Like, that's why the minutes doesn't matter to me, because clearly he's having a huge impact. Again, if he was playing 20 minutes a night, but he's playing 30. And so, yeah, I mean, that right there is huge.
Well, there's no more impressive eye test athlete in the sport than Wemby.
No.
It is a crazy thing to watch. And you said, Brew, he's the best player in the world. But we don't know what your ballot will be tomorrow, but I don't think he yet has been number one on your ballot.
No, he hasn't.
So there is like a slight difference between best player in the world and the MVP.
Of course.
There's a big
difference.
difference. Steve Nash was never the best player in the world.
Right, but having the best individual season. But this one, it's catching up. Because, Wemby's rising for you, right? You've had him higher than fourth?
I think I had him third in my, I don't have a real ballot.
Right.
But I have him right now as a strong third. I have him ahead of Joker. And I am, because I do value the 1 seed, and I do think, and I value exceeding what how good we all thought your team realistically was going to be. Mm-hmm. I think that helps Luka. I think that helps Wemby the most, because
that'd be a huge factor.
Right. And so I value all of it. I find it interesting that your utter dismissal, KW, and your somewhat dismissal, Brew, of the minutes thing, because the league has told us it values how much you play. They decided the decider was games rather than minutes, but it's all about minutes, time spent on the court is what we're talking about, availability, all of those things. And Wemby is going to, with missing tonight, he's going to finish this year playing the minimum allowable games to be eligible for the award, while also in those games playing fewer minutes per game than any MVP ever by a lot. And so that is... this is minutes over the course of the season. Walton's the only one that's going to come close to Wemby's total, and Walton's MVP year was very odd because they were the best. They were 50-10 when he got hurt, and then he didn't play the rest of the year, and the league decided that, you know what, he was the best player. They're the defending champs. He was having the best season. He's going to win it. That, to me, is noteworthy.
I think what you notice, though, all of those numbers are recent, other than Walton, who got hurt.
Yes.
That's because the game is changing. Guys don't play the minutes they used to. Guys used to play, going back even to early LeBron, they played 40 minutes a game.
Yeah.
So the best players were playing 38, 40-something minutes a night. Now the best players are playing about 35 minutes a night. So he's not like way behind. I mean, he's several minutes per game behind some of the leaders. But when you consider his height, that he's guarding out on the perimeter, and the change in the style of play as far as minutes for players.
And that he had a real injury.
Right.
At the beginning of the year, he was playing 20 minutes a game.
So listen, I think if I were running the Spurs, I would have the same plan. I think it's the smart plan. Mm-hmm. What I am not comfortable with is the combination of, for whatever the reasons are, you have one guy who, of the candidates, has, in my opinion, I'll just say my opinion, far and away is just objectively the least impactful passer, is objectively the least impactful scorer, objectively has played the fewest games and the far fewest minutes, and doesn't even have the best record. And that guy, I know he's the best defender in the league. That, to me, is not enough to close this gap, and I am stunned he's not playing tonight. Stunned.
This does not help him.
No.
Now, if it's obviously, I guess, the smart thing to do from a health standpoint, which is what's most important. That's more important than the MVP, obviously. But
can I say something real quick?
Isn't a great help.
If he couldn't play a back-to-back, and the Spurs are trying to get the 1 seed, I know he probably wouldn't have gotten an easy of a 40. But would it not have made more sense for him to sit against the left-handed free throw shooting corpse Warriors and be there against the Clippers?
He could have sat more of the second half.
Well,
the game was clearly.
I don't know.
I mean, that was weird. It's not like they didn't know they had a back-to-back, and the Clippers game is a game you can lose.
Maybe legitimately tweak something.
Or you want to be ready for Denver on Saturday?
But again, I think you're just as ready. I mean, today's Thursday. Like, if you sit, I don't know.
You get 2 days rest, maybe? San Antonio only 2 games behind the Thunder. Head to the East and down to Miami where the Celtics scorch the Heat. 53 points in the first quarter, Parkins second most in the shot clock era. Jalen had 20 in the first quarter, 43 overall. Tatum had triple-double. And Bam, who's known Tatum since he was 12, says he thinks he'll get better after the game. He says, I can tell he's still out of shape. It was actually like a very nice comment.
25, 18, and 11 out of shape.
Odds in the East, Celtics, and then your Cavs.
That's right.
The Knicks, the Pistons, and the 76ers.
How are they still?
Are you ready? Are you ready to abandon your Cavaliers pick?
No. The Celtics are the favorites. They deserve to be the favorites. I have no problem with them being the favorites. But I'll answer your question directly. How are they still the second? Yeah. There's a path. Right now, they are the 4 seed in the East.
Okay.
You want to be the 4 seed in the East because you let, assuming the bracket holds, you let Boston and New York meet in the second round. I think you'd rather play Detroit in the second round of the playoffs than the Celtics or the Knicks. Would we agree with that?
I think you'd rather play the Knicks. I think what the Cavs would love to be is the 2 seed, like Boston.
Oh, I don't know. I don't agree with that.
What do you mean?
Well, I know that the Knicks beat the Celtics in 6 last year in the playoffs.
No, I'm saying if you're the Cavs, I think you'd rather play the Knicks in round 2 than Detroit in round 2.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
I'm not nearly as big of a believer, clearly, in this Pistons team, where we'll see what happens with Cade Cunningham. And I think a lot of what they've done this year is by being a try-hard regular season team. I will be shocked if Cleveland gets to the Eastern Conference. Or, excuse me, if Detroit gets to the Eastern Conference Finals. I love Cleveland.
Should have gone with what you were about to say. I'll be shocked if Cleveland gets to the...
Cleveland is 16-6 in games when James Harden has played for them, which is a better win percentage than your beloved Detroit Pistons. It would be good enough if you did that over the course of a season. 16-6, that win percentage would be the 1 seed in the East. And
how many of those games were against tankers?
I can get that
Probably,
for you,
yeah.
but we can say that for every team, every team in the league. Harden has been great since he has been with Cleveland. The efficiency numbers are way up, and you guys know I love my Big Four. Only 5 games played together still.
I don't think that's a good thing.
That's a negative. I would use that as a negative.
But Allen is coming back.
But they're going to have no continuity.
No. Harden and Mitchell have looked great together on the floor. Allen and Harden, he's had double-doubles basically every game that Allen and Harden have played together. They have been managing Jared Allen's knee tendonitis to save him for the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell's coasting a little bit that he doesn't break down before the playoffs. All you got to do is get in, you have your matchup, and then you get to the Celtics in the Eastern. Again. Yeah, you beat the Hawks, you beat the Pistons, and then you take your chances with whoever comes out of the beat up 7-game series, Celtics Knicks.
Why is Celtics Knicks? First of all, why
the Pistons are not?
No,
they're not ready to win the East.
I don't
this
care.
Year.
That's fine.
I'd rather
is that
play
because
them
of the injury.
The injury, the inexperience, and we see this all the time. Teams that try harder than everybody else in the regular season and have an overinflated record. The Bulls, the Hawks, the Raptors, we see it all the time. I games is.
You don't see them win 55 games. You're talking about the way back there.
Bulls. You mean Bulls? Bulls, Hawks, Raptors historically.
Historically, that are 1 seeds. They treat the regular season like it's the playoffs, and then when everybody else
like the Knicks did last year.
Yeah,
under Thibodeau, that's what they do, and they were pretty good.
So what I was, you didn't know what I was going to ask. Why do you think? First of all, why are you so confident the Knicks are going to be in round 2? And if they are, that Knicks-Celtics is going to be a war. Why? Because last year the Knicks beat them? That can't be the whole reason.
I mean, I think styles make fights. Like, I absolutely think that for the Thunder, the Nuggets are the scary matchup. Right? Now we'll see.
Round 2.
In round 2, because of what happened last year, because they have Joker, there's no answer for them. Their offensive ceiling is high, and I've seen them give them massive fits in the postseason. I don't know why that would be different on the Eastern Conference side when the Knicks have kind of built their team in the image of we have to beat Boston, and they beat them in 6 last year. That's a tough matchup. That's not an easy given series for Boston. We know that they can go cold from 3.
Listen, I think that's fair. I'm not certain the Knicks right now with how they're playing will be there in round 2. But let's just play out your idealized scenario where we then get to the conference finals. You still have the Celtics beating the Knicks, right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why are the Cavs beating a Celtics team where Jason Tatum now is 2 months removed from coming back, and a Celtics team that was markedly better than the Cavs all year before Tatum came back?
They'll be an underdog in that series.
Right.
They will. But I'm not
But
abandoning
you're
it.
picking them.
Yeah, they can get, yes, absolutely. They can get there. We have not seen the ceiling of this Cavs team that with James Harden is averaging 119 points a game.
Cleveland has really great talent.
Yes.
And they've got depth. Look, on paper, you like them. What has been their problem in the playoffs these last few years?
They've underachieved, but luckily
I think they've been mentally weak.
Yeah.
They've been mentally weak. They have not answered the call and been able to match the moment in the playoffs. They have lost several playoff series they should have won, but they weren't mentally tough enough. You add James Harden, has had problems with mental weakness in big games in the playoffs. That's my problem with them. On paper, I love the talent. But I just think that's why I think Detroit would beat them.
Hold on, we got to get this in. Go ahead.
James Harden is a better playoff player than Darius Garland, and it's not close.
Fine.
Okay,
but I'm
so
not
it's an
comparing
upgrade
to Darius Garland.
But Cleveland is. Because they traded him for each other.
Okay, fine, but he's going to have to get it done in a big game 6 or game 7. You confident he's going to do that?
He had 28, 5, and 8 in a Game 6 win last year.
And then what happened remind me what happened in Game 7.
He had 13 assists.
What happened in Game 7?
He had 13 assists.
How many times did he shoot?
He had 7 points. But he had 13 assists.
I'm counting on 25 from you, James. He gave me 7.
He had 31 and 11 in Game 1.
Hey, if you like
he's great. He should be great in Game 1.
What did he do in Game 5?
In Game 1.
Game 5 wasn't
Game
good.
3,
Game 5 and Game 7.
James Harden has more good playoff games than Darius Garland.
Nobody cares about that.
The Cavs
Harden's not leading anybody to the promised
We're
land.
talking about the Cavs and the trade they made to upgrade Darius Garland for James Harden. Happy Frenemies Thursday. NFL League meetings earlier this week. Owners, GMs, coaches, Nick, they're meeting in Arizona ahead of the draft. Jim Harbaugh and Andy Reid to talk to reporters, discuss their season outlook, and the new hires they've each made at offensive coordinator. We'll listen to Jim Harbaugh first.
Awesome with a capital A. And it is what I really thought it was. Just a perfect combination. Mike McDaniel and Justin Herbert. Going to bode really well for the Chargers.
Awesome with a capital A. Tough to beat that. Andy Reid will try with Eric Bieniemy. Yeah, I'm fired up to have him back. When you lose a Matt Nagy to bring in a guy who could just step in and go, that's not an easy thing to do. Fired up to have him back. He brings great energy, loves doing what he's doing. All he wants to do is win football games and have a great offense. The ultimate team guy.
Yeah.
So this is red meat for us here in Frenemies land, Nick.
Yeah.
Chances the Chargers offense is better than the Chiefs offense this year?
I am so stunned that you love the Chargers offseason. Stunned. Because they obviously...
What's not to love?
Well, listen, a neutral party, Ben Solak, who I think we both think is a smart guy.
Smart guy.
How many teams are there in the league?
I believe it's 32 still.
So he ranked the 32 off seasons.
Oh, so you're just taking someone?
No, I'm trying to bring a neutral party to it.
Okay, go ahead.
Out of 32 teams, he had the Chargers off season 32nd. And the reason for that is particularly on offense, they didn't get better anywhere. They had a center retire, and they replaced him with Biotish. Cole Strange is now slated to be their starting guard.
Yeah.
The only reason we know the name Cole Strange was because when Bill Belichick in one of his final fateful first-round picks drafted him, the Rams laughed at him, and that was proven correct by the fact he didn't make it through his rookie contract. They didn't get better at running back. They didn't get better at wide receiver. So it's this idea that Mike McDaniel is going to be this cure-all when we're comparing them to a Chiefs team whose biggest issue on offense was the lack of a running game. They signed Kenneth Walker, and I understand that Eric Bieniemy as an offensive coordinator, hasn't drawn up as many fancy plays as your guy Mike McDaniel.
hasn't.
But you know what he has done it as an offensive coordinator? Won a bunch of Super Bowls with this team. So yeah, I'm confident that the Chiefs, who've had a better offense than the Chargers, every year Patrick's been there and finished with an intact ACL, will continue to have a better offense than the Chargers.
All due respect to Ben Solak, who is a very sharp guy, that exercise was about additions and subtractions this offseason. Do you feel like the Chargers maybe are going to get better production at a couple of positions that I think you would say are important on offense? Left and right tackle?
Yeah, I do. And
left and right tackle. Those are two of their 4 highest paid players in Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, and probably their second and third best players behind Justin Herbert. So those additions will come in the form of their highest paid best players playing more than 6 total games
the Chiefs
than they played last
also
year.
had their starting left tackle play 8 games last year.
And
they
he's
get
not
him back.
nearly as good as Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater.
But I'm just telling you now, I think this is a strategic mistake, projecting so much strength for the Chargers, because by mid-season next year, all those same offensive line tears you were crying about the left and right tackle, you're going to be crying about the left guard, center, and right guard. And it's going to be...
Well, it'd be tough to be worse than the Chargers were on the interior of the offensive line the last couple of years. They might be as bad, but it would be almost statistically impossible to be worse. And I'll say this, man. We are entering a pretty large sample if we look at the two offenses. You act like it's insane to think that anyone could have a better offense than the Chiefs.
No, not anyone. This team.
Okay, well, let's put it up. Let's look at it.
That's
A sample of 3 seasons. I think you would agree it's pretty similar. And because the quarterbacks have played an identical number of games over those 3 years, scoring the same number of points within 4 yards. Your team turns it over more. Your team's a little bit better on third down. The Chargers have a little bit better passer rating. It's very similar. And the Chargers are going to get better production at tackle this year, which was the biggest detriment to their offense last year, and they've upgraded at play caller. The Chiefs are not upgrading at play caller. They're upgrading at an energy vibes guy.
That's disrespectful to the fact that he is not the one calling the plays.
Obviously matters.
But it doesn't mean that he's an energy vibes guy. It doesn't mean that he has no tactical input. It doesn't mean that I know you're not a Matt Nagy fan, pardon me.
Yeah.
I know you thought he was part of the deterioration of the Chiefs' offense, and those last 3 years are the 3 years since Eric Bieniemy left.
Bieniemy's a beloved coach by players. I don't mean to be disrespectful to him. I think which addition is going to have a more tangible impact in terms of...
Why? The Chiefs used to, by your metric, the Chiefs entered a 3-year slump when he left. By the stat you just showed.
You follow the Chiefs very closely, closer than anybody. You know that Andy Reid is the offense. He's the play caller. He's the play designer. He's the culture. He is everything.
I don't think he is everything. I do think he's the play caller. I do think he is the best head coach in football. I also don't think it is random coincidence that when Bieniemy left, the running game got markedly worse, and when Bieniemy went to Chicago, the running game far outperformed its talent level. And I know you love your fancy wizardry play caller.
I do.
But we have no evidence that Mike McDaniel, outside of the cocoon of either Kyle Shanahan or peak Tyreek Hill, is actually majorly impactful. I like Mike McDaniel. I think he is a good hire, to be clear. But
you wanted him in Kansas City, to be clear, if you would have done it.
Yeah, I think when I didn't think Bieniemy was coming back, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm glad they got Bieniemy. I think Mike McDaniel's sharp. But I do not think that the shell game of this was the problem with the Chargers, now this is fixed, when every year it's been something randomly different, when the real problem with the Chargers, in my opinion, has pretty clearly been they have had substandard offensive line play, which will continue this year, substandard skill position players, which will continue this year, and come the postseason, their quarterback is far worse than a substandard player overall. None of that changes by getting rid of, was it Greg Roman, who was Jim Harbaugh, who you love, his first hire, and replacing him with Mike McDaniel.
I think their offensive line will be better. And to be clear, since you complimented the Chargers somewhere along the way there, the Chiefs will be a much better run team. Kenneth Walker and Eric Bieniemy, they obviously will be a better run team.
Yeah.
So will the Chargers. And
the Chiefs also are getting their tackle back.
The Chargers also signed Alec Ingold.
Great
fullback. Let's go to the NBA. Lakers take on the Thunder tonight. Thunder 9.5-point favorite against your Lakers, although the Lakers have won 15 of 17 in March. Speaking of March, you might have heard, Luka, 600 points. Pretty
Player
good.
of the month, named a few hours ago, and a runner-up for Defensive Player of the Month.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah,
you check the NBA's account.
Well, then that could add a nice fun wrinkle
Yeah.
into this conversation.
Yeah.
Who would you rather have for the rest of the season, Shea or Luka?
Oh, I think Luka's a better player. And
Close, though.
I think
Right, you would say it's close?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah. We're parsing.
I think there is, like, Steve Nash won back-to-back MVPs. At no point did I think he was the best player in the league. Isaiah Thomas won back-to-back championships, including a finals MVP. I don't think anybody in that moment thought except for maybe Isaiah, who I love, thought he was the best player in the league. It would be pretty unprecedented for a guy to combine those two, back-to-back league MVPs with winning back-to-back championships, and not be the best player in the league. But I don't think Shea's the best player in the league.
Well, I mean, it would not even pretty unprecedented, right? Because the only guys with multiple MVPs and multiple finals MVPs, assuming he would win it if they do, I think it's the sixth greatest players ever, arguably.
I think if you compare their careers, their primes, or their playoff numbers, I just think Luka clears it. So the points per game, it's Luka. Rebounds, assists is Luka. The field goal percentage is Shea, but the effective field goal percentage, because Luka shoots so many more threes, is Luka. The first team All-NBA MVP. Now, what's fair is, but Luka came in awesome. Shea wasn't immediately awesome. So I took that into consideration. If we just do the last 4 years, when Shea has been awesome the whole time, Luka's still... Now the first team All-NBA, it'll be 4-3.
Yep.
And
2-0.
We'll see if he wins MVP. But again, I don't know that because Shea has had the better seasons, I don't know that I feel he's a better player. I don't, and then if you look at the playoff stuff, and when they played once in a playoff series, Luka outplayed him. Shea has not, even though he's the defending finals MVP, he played a tick or two below his regular season last year in the playoffs en route to it. Luka's actually had more deep playoff runs than Shea. They beat him when they played head-to-head. I think Luka's a better passer, definitionally, rebounder, definitionally, and I think he's a more dominant scorer. And I think if you put Shea on a team with 17 great defenders Luka on Shea's team, they win the title last year too.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Like that they are close enough as players, and the Thunder are so excellently constructed.
And kind of the perfect team for Luka to play with.
Yeah, they're the perfect team for any player in the league to play with, because every single player on their team is good defensively, and they're crazy deep, and they're well coached, and they've got all that draft capital, and they're young and athletic. Yeah, they are the situation that Shea is in would be the best for anybody, and I do think a few players would be able to produce around there. You did it by career, and I was just thinking about, because I don't necessarily care because they came in as such different guys. Luka is basically a professional athlete who was EuroLeague MVP at 17, and Shea more of a prospect who has developed. I think that their numbers this year are very, very close. And again, absolutely, Luka better passer. They're 1 and 2 in scoring. They're 1 and 2 in free throw attempts. But I think you would agree, finishing second in defensive, whatever you said for Luka. Shea's a much better defensive player than Luka, right?
Yeah, Shea's a better defensive player who also 0 times at any point has to guard the other team's best player.
I mean, he was voted. He would, if there was a third-team All-NBA defense last year, he got enough votes for it. Like he is.
Huh?
Well, they do
say that again. I just want you to say that. I want you to, with a straight face, say what you were about to say right there.
If there was a third-team All-NBA defense, he would have made it. Which means,
is there a third-team All-NBA defense?
No, but you have votes.
Okay, no, I get it.
But players get votes.
So
and then the top 10 make the team.
Yeah.
And so he got enough votes where he would have been like 12th.
Yeah, and I saw your defensive rating thing.
Yeah, the defensive rating.
That's a team stat, and
sure.
you know that.
But you also know that Shea is a better
Shea's a better defensive player than Luka.
Okay, and they're close offensively.
I don't know that that's the part I don't think I agree with you on.
They average within 1 point per game of each other, and
they are
Shea
close
is
scoring. They are not close rebounding or passing. They're not.
But they're close in efficiency also.
Which is part of the scoring. They are close individual scorers. Luka is one of the best passers ever. Shea is not one of the best passers in the Western Conference today. Luka's one of the best guard rebounders ever. Shea is a good guard rebounder. I don't think that is where I think that Luka gets shortchanged and that we overemphasize his defensive weaknesses. I think Shea's going to win the MVP. I think Shea's a great player, but I'd rather have Luka.
Another frenemies win for me. Fernando Mendoza and Kirk Cousins. Who should start week 1? Willie Colon next. Willie, last night the Crown quarterfinals tipped off. Oklahoma advanced after a 90-86 win over Colorado thanks to Nigel Pack's 20 points, 5 assists, and 2 blocks. They faced Baylor after the Bears defeated Minnesota 67-48. Cameron Carr had 15, 9, and 2. So we check an updated look at the Crown bracket. Top half completed, bottom half still to go. What's better than a college basketball tournament in Vegas?
Oh, nothing, man. Listen, watch out for Stanford's freshman sensation, Abuka Okori. Big-time guard. Should light it up tonight. We'll see.
Okay, man, you are.
How do you feel about that?
I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it, is what I think. And yesterday you were dropping Rutgers knowledge, so this is Willie's big night.
Let's do it.
In the Crown. We'll be watching right here on FS1. To the NFL, Kirk Cousins is a Raider. 1-year deal guaranteeing him $20 million. He gets 11 from the Raiders, 9 from the Falcons. Continues to be a legend at the bank. Although in Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, the assumed number 1 pick, of course to the Raiders, had his pro day. By all accounts, did a great job. League meetings, Willie, Clint Kubiak, new coach of the Raiders, said his preference would be to start a more mature quarterback. That would appear to be what's happening now with Kirk Cousins and that guarantee. So more likely to start week 1, who should start week 1, Cousins or Mendoza?
Oh, it should be Kirk Cousins, and I'm happy Clint Kubiak gets to reunite with Kirk Cousins. Obviously, they have some history from their days in Minnesota, but when you talk about what makes sense, and this goes back to what John Spytek has been saying, they want to build this thing up brick by brick, right? And I'm just going to take a small pivot. Listen, Las Vegas offers a lot of distractions. Let's keep it a buck.
Sure. I've been distracted in Vegas.
And I say that because in 2013, I had a young Geno Smith step into New York, and there was a lot put on his plate considering that he wasn't supposed to be the starter. It was supposed to be Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez gets hurt in a preseason game. We wheel out, not wheel out like he was hurt, but we usher out Geno Smith, man. And I can remember when he ran out the tunnel. And they played his music was Jay-Z's 99 Problems.
Yeah, okay.
Right, that song, right? I won't finish it just for TV purposes.
Thank you.
But nevertheless, man, I remember saying, because it felt like he was trying to live up to what the streets were talking about, right? Like he was trying to wear that persona. He was trying to live up to being the king of New York when we just needed him to be the quarterback for the New York Jets. And I think some of the off-field distractions, on top of managing and being a big-time quarterback in the spot, got in his way. As a guy who played with a young quarterback, sometimes from the neck up they can be ready. From the neck down, playing that long, dealing with those hits, being an NFL quarterback takes a toll. So I think giving him a year where you allow Kirk Cousins to kind of be the guy.
A year?
Yeah, 100%. Let him have a year. What's the rush? The Super Bowl will be in Las Vegas in 2029. If you're serious about this long-term plan, you want Fernando Mendoza to be your starting quarterback when the Super Bowl comes around for you. Not banged up, quarterback questions, none of that.
I think everything you said makes sense, and I think that you don't give Kirk Cousins $20 million guaranteed for him not, even if half of it's not being paid by you, for him not to be the week 1 starter. So I assume he is going to be the week 1 starter. I promise you it won't be for 17 games.
You don't.
No.
It won't even happen.
No chance, man.
Okay.
Teams play their guys. You want the.
But where does it get you?
Well, when you draft someone with the number 1 pick, a high pick, you want to find out if he's the guy as soon as possible.
Right.
Because if he's not the guy, you want to pivot off of him as soon as possible.
But you're not going to know he's the guy in year 1.
I mean, you can. You can know that he's the guy. You might not be able to know that he's not the guy.
Yeah.
And Fernando Mendoza played in a pro-style system last year for 16 games, won a national championship, and is 22 years old. This is not some guy who has no ability coming from a spread offense. Not that there's not a ton of spread offense in the NFL, but it used to be like spread to pro style or small conference or like Josh Allen from Wyoming or like Big 12 quarterbacks that never had success.
Yeah.
Like this guy played in the Big 10 in the national championship in a pro-style
with
system.
a lot of weapons who had long in the tooth.
36 college starts. Like he will play next year. I'd bet anything that he plays next year.
First of all, there's nothing to push back against that because that's what history tells us. So I got to agree with that. On top of that, I would say if you're serious about his development, there's nothing wrong with entertaining, saying, hey, man, let's continue to build this roster up. And then when he's ready and we feel like this offense or this roster is built to kind of help him out or be the best he can be, then we throw him out there.
I always think with that, then he shouldn't be the number 2 quarterback. Then he should just full redshirt year and nothing that happens. But I remember being in Chicago when they signed Mike Glennon to a 1-year, $18 million deal because they said we were going to sit Mitch Trubisky for the whole year. And 4 weeks into the year, Mike Glennon was leading the league in turnovers, and there was Mitch Trubisky starting week 5, and the rest was history. So I agree it can be a detriment. But Trubisky had 1 year starting. This guy's had 3 years. I will be floored if Mendoza doesn't play the majority of the games. Baseball. Getting it right already, yet again. Sports on a roll.
Finally.
All right, we're a week into the regular season, Willie, and we had our first game that ended on an ABS challenge overturn. Called it a ball, was strike 3, replay came in. We can say with certainty no MLB game has ever ended like this before. That was in the Orioles-Rangers game last night. So, is it already a success? What are your early thoughts on the ABS system?
Oh, I love it. I think it's definitely elevated the game. The fact that we get to finally talk about situational baseball like we talk about situational football because of this system. Like think about it. Like if it's the top of the ninth, it's 5, let's say 5-4, right? And you have one challenge left. If you're at bat and you know your closer's coming out, you shouldn't use that challenge, right? You should wait to the bottom of the ninth and leave it for your pitcher and catcher. So now we get to evaluate those situations. And listen, I think these guys are still learning how to use it. But when you see the crowd stand up after a challenge, like if we're in the Coliseum, and it's amazing. So I'm all about it, DP.
What I like is like the tennis system, it just is what it is.
Sure.
There's no ambiguity. Sometimes in football, they're like, I think it should stand. And then the rest like, it's overturned. And I'm more confused. This is black and white. I like it. Good job, baseball.
Good job, baseball.